The short answer is we don't know. We do know that during the war last summer, the 12-day war between Israel and Iran that ended with Operation Midnight Hammer, where President Trump ordered the strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities, largely destroying many of the mechanisms that the regime uses, the Israelis were coming under actually more intense bombardment.
For more on the situation with Iran, visit our website, afn.net. A Houston area Muslim parent has filed a federal lawsuit accusing Texas officials of religious discrimination by excluding Islamic private schools from the state's new school voucher program. AFN's Robert Thornton has more.
The Christian Post reports the lawsuit was filed March 1st. The voucher program initially allocates $1 billion for eligible families to use public funds for private tuition, with priority for lower-income households and those with special needs. Plaintiff Mehdi Cherikawi, the father of 2 children attending Houston Quran Academy, Spring, says the school meets all neutral statutory requirements for participation but has been blocked due to impermissible religious gerrymanders by the acting controller related to Islamic ties. The controller requested a legal opinion from AG Ken Paxton, and Paxton affirmed the controller's authority under the measure's other relevant laws provision. Daniel Greenfield is CEO at the David Horowitz Freedom Center.
I'm a big supporter of voucher programs. At the same time, there should be no bar on the state actually being able to provide funding to religious schools. At the same time, you want those schools to be not actively hostile to America.
He said certain standards must be met if private or religious schools are getting money.
This is something that I think should apply to schools that are overrun by the left as well. Is you cannot support anti-American activity, you cannot support violence, you cannot support extremism, however you define it. You can't, for example, have the Church of Satan set up a school and preach that they're going to overthrow the United States government and eliminate the Constitution, or you can have communists set up a school calling for the same things.
I'm Robert Thornton.
A new study sheds light on the U.S. cities with the safest streets in America. Fox's Kristen Goodwin.
The analytics data company Streetlight comparing 100 of the nation's largest metro areas using factors including vehicle speeds and truck activity to find the safest streets. It ranks the New York City metropolitan area as the safest, followed by Boston, Portland, Oregon, Boise, Idaho, and Spokane, Washington. Report authors say larger metros tend to perform better overall for roadway safety, despite popular misconceptions that big cities are more dangerous. Also noting the best performing metros for managing residential speeds are concentrated in the upper Midwest and Northeast. And adding only 2 big metros make the top 10 for residential speed management, Los Angeles and Miami.
In final news, it's time to make out your brackets. March Madness for men's basketball begins tomorrow. Duke is the number 1 overall seed, playing out of the East region. Arizona is the number 1 of the West, Michigan the Midwest, and Florida the Southeast. That's despite a loss in the semifinals of the SEC tournament. Find more news on afn.net.
If we lose this cultural war, we're going to have a hedonistic, humanistic society.
Discover the story of the culture warrior Don Wildman and how he went head-to-head with Hollywood, Playboy, the homosexual agenda, and the Disney empire. The movement Don started paved the way for Christians to boldly stand for truth and righteousness in a hostile culture. Watch Culture Warrior today for free. Visit culturewarrior.movie.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman, and in studio with me is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Chris Woodward. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, that's it, people. Just 3 of us. That's it, just 3 brains here today to tell you what's happening in our world, and a lot to talk about, a lot going on, including the weather. Let's talk about the weather just a minute. I stepped outside where we are.
Yes.
I know we have listeners all over the country, and weather's different. But
It is.
Where we are, there were snow flurries falling.
Yes.
from the sky a
Hold on.
while ago.
I need to leave to get some bread. Hold on.
Yeah, that's
So bread and eggs.
Yeah.
Bread and eggs and milk.
Yeah.
We've had this cold front move through the country now, and it's wreaking havoc on the travel and everything like that, and bringing old man winter back for his one last stand, hopefully. At least for us here
His
in the
encore.
South. Huh?
His encore. And that's after like 15 straight days of it being 16 degrees above normal. I mean, we got wasps already coming out, and
The flowers are starting to bloom. The trees are getting buds on them, and the grass is growing.
Smell the Bradford pears.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
But a couple days from now, and then I think most of the country is going to warm back up again.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Looks like. So, hey, listen, I don't mind an early spring myself. I'm
as
not
long as we
complaining.
get some spring. I don't want to just dive headlong into summer. I don't want it to be 90 degrees. Let's have some 70s, a little bit cool mornings,
I'm
and
with you,
I'll be
brother.
happy.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. All right. Well, did any tornadoes strike yesterday, by the way?
There were some tornadoes reported in various parts of the country. A lot of high winds. Some places got hit with a lot of snow. And believe it or not, folks out in the Southwest today are being warned about a heat advisory.
Yeah.
That's what I said in our story meeting. America's a big country in terms of the variety of ecosystems and weather temperatures.
Break
you're
it
gonna
down,
get.
Ed. Break it down.
Well, you're just going to get a real. It's kind
We're
of
here
it's-
for it. You
It's a
give us
melting pot in a
break
lot
down
of
those
ways.
ecosystems around the country, if you would.
Well, for example, the ecosystem in New Mexico is
yeah.
one of the most varied in
Is
the
it now?
world.
Yeah.
You can get snow, you've got desert, you've got so it's. I just want to say America is
It's a big country.
big, varied place, and folks, that's what you're tuning in to this show for. Is that kind of analysis, that kind of depth of thinking
Of meteorology.
All right, before we go to the news of the day, folks, I do want to let you know you've been hearing it on AFR in April 7, 8, and 9. We're having our spring Sharathon. Whatever the weather is, we're having our Sharathon. And so what we're doing at this point, we're gathering stories to play on the air during our spring Sharathon. We'd like to hear from you. And so here's the question we're asking you to just wax eloquent about. Has the Lord used American Family Radio in your life? Has God impacted you through this ministry? If so, we'd like to hear your AFR story. Could be a blessing. It will certainly be a blessing to the people who work here, but it could be a blessing and an encouragement to others. So how do you do that? Well, call 877-876-8893. That's our listener story line, 877-876-8893, and share for a minute or two. Folks, it's got to be short and sweet, and you might hear yourself during Sharathon. So call, share your testimony, your listener story for a minute or two, 877-876-8893, and you might hear yourself during Sharathon. Thank you.
All right. We thank you for your support. All right, Chris, what's happening, man?
Well, we do have a ton of things to go over that relate to the war or conflict with Iran. One of the things that we were just talking about here before the show was this Iranian drone strike that took out a fuel tank at the airport in Dubai, temporarily halting flights, destroyed a fuel tanker there. Huge explosion, massive fire. They have been working to get it out, and I think they're being successful in that effort. But this was not what you needed at a time of busy air travel season in a place like Dubai. For those that are not aware, Dubai is a pretty busy travel hub for people flying to and from the area.
What area would that be, Chris?
The Middle East, the United Arab Emirates.
I got you. Just wanted people to know. We know our geography as well as our meteorology.
I know the
down here.
ecosystem there as well.
You know the ecosystem there?
It's hot and dry.
Listen, Dubai, I think I'm correct when I say this, more passengers go through the Dubai International Airport daily than any other airport in the world. I'm hesitant to I can't confirm that because Atlanta's pretty big too.
Heathrow.
Heathrow, London Airport. Type in.
Okay.
Type in that.
I did, Tim.
All
I
right.
anticipated this question. Dubai International Airport is the world's busiest airport for international passenger traffic, having handled 95 million passengers in 2025, a record that solidified its dominance. So for that to be shut down, that's going to put a real
It's kind of the crossroads of between Asia and Europe and Africa, and I don't know. Maybe there's some direct flights to North America from Dubai. Probably is. I'm sure, but it's just it's a major. What's the number one most traveled international airport in the world? So
yeah,
for them to be have a drone hit on a oil tanker, which supplies, the gasoline to the jets, and just not to mention the terror that those people inside the airport are probably experiencing right now. So that was sent over compliments of Iran.
Yeah.
Yes. It's actually the third attack on this airport since February 28th.
Why is Iran mad at Dubai, Ed? And Dubai is a city within the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
Okay. The United Arab Emirates is a country. Go ahead.
I'm just guessing because the UAE, United Arab Emirates, is considered kind of pro-Western, and so they're not radical like Iran. And now Iran has released a statement or two saying we are not attacking our neighbors, talking about in the Middle East, because we're mad at them, but because they are helping the United States and Israel. So I other than that, I mean, that's a guess as to why they. It is right across the Strait of Hormuz, so the nation of Iran is directly north across that strait, and so maybe they're doing it kind of to let everyone know if we want to cut that strait off and all traffic stopped, we can do it.
Yeah, I don't know how much the UAE is helping us, be the United States, in this effort, in this war with a small W, I guess you could say, in Iran. But that is, listen, there's no love lost between the Sunnis and the Shias, okay?
Right.
Two large branches of Islam. The Sunnis are the Arab countries, basically. The Shia are the Persian countries, basically. And so they have a rivalry of their own. People think, a lot of people in the United States think, the Muslims, as if they're monolithic.
Right.
They're not. And so many of the Arab countries, they don't want Iran having a nuclear weapon either. That's why they've not come out opposed to the United States or Israel attacking Iran here. So but if you launch a drone and you hit the Dubai airport, that's kind of scary for the people there, and go ahead.
I was going to say, these drones are, they're kind of changing the face of warfare to some extent. Warfare, modern warfare, since maybe the first Gulf War, has really been a matter of technology. And whoever has the most technologically agile aircraft, for example, and aircraft that is invisible to radar, cruise missiles, all that kind of hypersonic missiles, whoever has the best, fastest, most technologically advanced, they're the ones who were pretty much seen to be able to dominate the battlefield. But these far less expensive drones equipped with a warhead,
they're basically kamikaze, aren't they?
Well, I mean, there's no one in them, so nobody's like dying in it. But they are one. To your point, they
explode
hit,
themselves.
Yes, they're done when they're not dropping anything. They're hitting something and detonating. But Iran has hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands. Now, we have kind of degraded that capability somewhat, but a country like Iran can have thousands of drones, and you have to use expensive missiles to knock them out, or they can do this kind of damage. And Ukraine was, for example, using these to take out Russian tanks, and it is to some extent changing the face of warfare, and they swarm defenses.
I think the days of the Marines storming the beaches are yesterday. They're no longer. I mean, you're going to have, I guess, troops here or there, but being engaged in war by troops, I mean, you know, battalions on the ground marching from city to city, but I think that's basically over. I think we're in the era of what you would call smart warfare. By that I mean computer, as you said, Ed, computer-generated launching missiles and drones from far-off distances.
Yeah.
So that there aren't not putting your own military personnel in harm's way.
You can take trucks, 18-wheelers, and have them designed to open up from the top. Countries can park that 18-wheeler somewhere and then remotely have swarms of drones come out of the back of that 18-wheeler. Now those are less destructive than the bigger ones that can hit targets, but it is changing. Like you're saying, Russia found out that now they've done a lot of damage, killed a lot of people in the Ukraine war, but they've been bogged down in a lot of places because it's just the days of maybe just tanks swarming over a battlefield. I don't know if they're over, but countries have to take into account that your expensive tank could be taken out by a $10,000 little drone.
Right. Yeah. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Next story, Chris.
Well, I want to stick with the drone story here for just a moment because...
You got a drone on and on, are you?
I am. Bear with me while I share this important news story. From the Wall Street Journal and Daily Mail, both of those news outlets are concerned that the Strait of Hormuz could become a so-called kill box for U.S. sailors if President Trump sends deadly warships to battle Iranian drones in that troubled waterway. For those not aware, the Strait of Hormuz is it's kind of a vital, narrow maritime choke point connecting the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea, and a lot of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump, in a story we have on our website, is actually calling for various countries to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz and ensure that the world's oil supply makes it freely through that area, because Iran has already been trying to sabotage ships going through that part of the world.
Well, the Strait of Hormuz, some reason I heard that the narrowest point, which borders Iran, is 20 miles across.
I think I read that too.
So that's just, you can almost see that far, probably, from one side to the other on a clear day. But it is, it's a strait between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. It provides the only sea passage from the Persian Gulf to the open ocean and is one of the most strategically important choke points. So, and it's been that way for centuries. So, what did you say? 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas and 25% of the oil trade of the world passes through that strait annually.
Yes.
So,
and President Trump talking about this with reporters. I don't have the audio. The quality wasn't great, but he was talking to reporters on board or aboard Air Force One. He said that we're not really concerned about this in terms of our own oil because we have a large supply, but in terms of like our allies, Europeans.
Isn't that the reason that gas prices are going up?
It is one big reason.
Oil is going up?
That and speculators that are trying to make a buck amid this conflict or war. I've got the gas prices in front of me. Today's current average for a gallon of regular gasoline is $3.71. A month ago, it was $2.92. Some parts of Mississippi were seeing gas below $2 a gallon before this issue with Iran started, and now it's $3 and more.
Some people ask, well, how come prices jump so quickly when there's something like the Iran war? They jump at the pump. And I remember reading an article about someone who owned a gas station was explaining this. And what they were saying is, yes, it does jump quickly because the owner of the gas station has to calculate what they will pay for gas the next time they have to fill those big underground tanks
Makes
up.
sense.
And they're going to have to pay the higher price. So they raise the prices at the pump immediately so they can take in more money so they can pay for the added costs of the next delivery of gas.
Yes.
Because a lot of people get frustrated and they say, well, the prices don't drop that quickly. And I remember reading this article and being a little more sympathetic to the local owner of the gas station who doesn't want money coming out of his or her own pocket. So that is why the price jumps so quickly.
It also came at a really bad time in that it's spring break for a lot of people in this country. So demand is going up because people are going to the beach or taking a road trip or whatever else. It's also that time of year when we are starting to put more stuff in our gas to make it cleaner and better for the environment.
I do.
So it's a perfect storm of gas problems, if you will.
Yeah.
And some increase in price in the spring for these other reasons you're talking about is normal and typical and throughout the summer. And then usually it drops back a little bit when people aren't traveling as much.
You know who mostly depends on the oil and the natural gas coming through the Strait of Hormuz are Asian countries.
China is
China, Japan, India, South Korea.
Yeah.
They're so
they have a higher percentage.
I believe Iran is letting without fire, F-I-R-E, like as in shooting at them, these tankers come through that are not American, certainly not Israeli, but not American. That's what I've read.
Which goes to the original point you were making, and with the story selection, that because it's so narrow, American warships would have less time to respond to incoming missiles if those ships, destroyers or what, were going along with tankers, accompanying
President
tankers.
Trump has said the American military, will bomb the blank out of Iran should they fire on, I guess, American merchant ships. But I wouldn't want to be the first one to go through there.
Yeah.
So next story, Chris.
All right. Let me mention this one, and it's Iran-related, but it involves some audio here. Fox ran a pretty lengthy segment on this earlier this morning, and it's piggybacking off of something CBS reported over the weekend. CBS News claims the new Ayatollah, the son of the guy that was killed in the airstrikes when they started.
The son of the Ayatollah.
There you go.
It's a song by Jimmy Buffett.
It is, yeah. The Carpenters. But anyway, so there is a CBS report claiming the new Ayatollah was not favored or well-liked by his father. The slain Ayatollah did not want his son to follow in his footsteps. And again, for people not paying attention to this situation, the son of the Ayatollah he's been picked to run the regime, right? But apparently dad didn't want his son to follow for reasons that Steve Harrigan explains here, clip 1.
CBS News citing a U.S. intelligence report that the elder Khamenei, the Ayatollah, the supreme leader who was killed on the first day of the strikes, never wanted his son to follow in his footsteps. The report says the elder Khamenei was wary of his son ever taking power because he was perceived as not very bright and was viewed as unqualified to be leader, according to sources. President Trump speculated that perhaps the younger Ayatollah, the 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei, might not even be alive. President Trump telling NBC News, "I don't know if he's even alive. So far, nobody's been able to show him." The younger Ayatollah, of course, has not been seen in public since the start of the war.
Now, we saw one other story, and I think it was attributing information to a Korean news outlet, but the Ayatollah may be in Russia.
Getting surgery
for wounds suffered in this conflict.
Well, listen, they're running out of
Khomeinis.
They're running out of Khomeini. They're running out, I would expect that the volunteer list is is getting short too. I don't think there are many hands going up. Hey, I'll do it. Hey, Khomeini's out. Hey, sign me up. I'll take the leadership role.
Listen, but
in all seriousness, this report is that the Kuwaiti news service, if you believe this, says that Khomeini's son, the 56-year-old who is I put in charge, I put that in quotations, went to Russia to get treated for his wounds. Who knows?
And might have had a leg amputated, so it could be very serious injuries.
Yeah, I know who knows.
sustained.
The Israelis know.
Yes, they do.
They
but
know.
Listen, you just if you're this guy, the son of the dead Khomeini, the live Khomeini, he's just like, well, thanks, Dad. Thanks for your vote of confidence.
Well, Dad's dead, though.
I'm not too smart. Listen, I'm looking at a New York Post headline. Trump briefed that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, is probably gay. That's on the New York Post. So it's going to be, I'm just saying, whether that's true or not, if that's the rumor, and if his father said, no, my son's dumb. He's dumb as a desert
dumb and
rock.
Gay.
Huh?
Did he say he's dumb and gay?
I don't know, but how is this guy going to run the country? You're not going to have any respect of the military and that kind of stuff. Those who are running the country, the Iranian Republican Guard, and anyway.
Listen, in all seriousness, not that you haven't been serious there, but in all seriousness, and that story I said that is on the New York Post.
This the headline.
Trump briefed that Iran's new supreme leader is probably gay, which is a no-no in Islam. But listen, we are going to need somebody to negotiate with. This guy doesn't seem like the one. This Khomeini's son, because of the reasons we mentioned here, he's probably been hit and injured. I mean, he was targeted. So, but soon we're going to need somebody to negotiate with so that we can end this thing. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody in charge. Officially, it is the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son that he's in charge, but it doesn't sound like it to the point of the clip that Chris just played. Nobody's seen him. I mean, when he was accepted, when they had a little gathering, they had a poster of him.
He wasn't there on the stage.
It's possible he just didn't want to get blown up.
I think that's probably it.
It's also possible he's injured in Russia getting surgery. So, but to your point,
who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
Who's in charge? And all right, so a lot happening in our world, and certainly we hope and pray that this war will be over soon.
Yeah,
like in the next couple of weeks, hopefully 2 to 4 weeks. I think that would be great if this could be over with. But again, it would be great if we could have somebody from Iran emerge that is a reasonable person that we could negotiate with, settlement with. But who knows if that will happen and who that might be. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on AFR.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
Did you ever notice the wonder of words? They have the power to heal or to hurt, to stab or to soothe, to lift or to level. And in that respect, each of us were created equal. That is, we can use or abuse this wonderful power of the spoken word. It's easy to be cutting in one's remarks, and certainly this is the tempting route sometimes. All of us have, at some time in our life, experienced the very deep hurt that comes from the cutting remarks. And, beyond a doubt, each of us has been guilty of expressing cutting remarks ourselves. For words to cut deeply into one's heart doesn't mean they have to be spoken with malice or prejudice. Indeed, the deepest hurt comes from words spoken apart from malice or prejudice. For those who speak with malice or prejudice usually have very little, if any, concern for those they speak against. But let one who is supposed to love us speak a selfish word to us, and the cut goes into the quick. 2 young men were called upon one day to give a dramatic reading before a very select audience. One of the young men was a very intelligent, very seasoned performer. He had the ability to hold the audience in his grip. The other young man was not so seasoned, had not the opportunity for experience. But he had one quality which was a part of him more than anything else. He wanted to become an actor. More than anything in all the world, he wished to be an actor. The first young man went before the crowd polished and perfect, except for one slight flaw in pronouncing a word. When he walked off the stage, his mother was waiting for him. She immediately began condemning the young man because he made the single mistake. She said nothing about the rest of the speech, which was absolutely perfect. The only thing the young man could hear coming from the lips of his mother was condemnation for only a slight error, a slip of the tongue. The mother acted as if she was embarrassed by the son's mistake. The second young man went to the stage. He mispronounced several words, about like I do, forgot his script in 3 places, and in general gave a very poor amateur performance. But the audience could tell that the young man was trying as hard as he could. When he walked from the stage, he was utterly disgusted with his performance and vowed to do better next time. His mother, waiting for him as he stepped from the stage, put her arms around him and said to him in a voice of love, "I'm proud of you, son. You did the best you could. You'll do better next time." Yes, it is rather strange, the power that words have. It costs nothing more to speak constructively than it does cuttingly. It takes no more breath to speak helpful words than it does hurting words. And the constructive and helpful words do so much more good. If you were coming down from the stage, which words would you like to hear? Well, the rest of us would also. Let's try to speak them.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
Have no fear of them, nor be troubled, but in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect, having a good conscience, so that when you are slandered, those who revile your good behavior in Christ may be put to shame. 1 Peter 3:14-16.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
You know, one thing I don't think you'll see anytime soon is Royal Caribbean advertising a trip through the Strait of Hormuz. I just don't think, do you think, I don't care how much lobster you're going to serve. I don't think that's going to be appealing for quite a while. What do you think?
I think you're exactly right. I don't care if they were giving me 2 tons of gold.
You're not getting on that cruise
I'm
ship,
not
are
going
you?
that straight.
All right. Last week, we had a couple of terror attacks on our domestic, on our homeland. One was a situation at Old Dominion University where a man who was a Muslim supremacist, I guess you could say, he went in and shot the ROTC instructor who was a veteran, killed him in the name of Allah and Allah Akbar, and so that happened. And then there was one dead right there. He was the lone death, right? And there was a lot of other carnage was saved because the students in the class attacked the guy. Guy had a gun. But in Michigan, you had a fella take his automobile, which had explosives, and drive into a Jewish synagogue, which had a lot of children there for daycare or for school, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what. So what happened there, Chris?
Yeah, the update with this story is the Israeli military said over the weekend that the brother of the man who drove a truck into the synagogue last Thursday was a Hezbollah commander who was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon earlier this month. The synagogue attacker has been identified as Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, who was a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Lebanon. 4 of his relatives were killed in an Israeli airstrike on March 5th. His brother Ibrahim and his 2 kids, as well as another brother Qasim, have ties with Muslims in Michigan. This could have been really bad. I was actually on vacation, so you guys are the experts on this particular story. But from the reports that I got while I was out of town, it was. I mean, it could have been.
It could have been a Sandy Hook
yes.
Situation all over again. I mean, I guess I don't know if the ammunition that he had in the car didn't detonate as much as he had thought it would. But the fact that wasn't a mass casualty situation with a lot of children dead is a miracle.
It is.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is, I think these kinds of things inspire other radicals to try to do something awful, because this one in Michigan followed the shooting in Austin, Texas, by a guy that was a Muslim sympathizer.
You know, let it be pointed out here that you mentioned the last 3 national stories involving shooters. That people get shot all over America every day.
They do.
Usually just garden variety robberies, right?
Or drug deals.
Drug deals, people like
gang rivalries.
But as far as terrorism motivated, it's been the Muslim. I call them Muslim supremacist because if it's a white person, they call it a white supremacist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Muslim supremacist in at Old Dominion in Austin, and now the guy there in Michigan the story we just discussed. So this is a growing threat. What gets me is sometimes the media. The media, that's a broad general, but not necessarily just the media, but like the other day when the FBI agent, I think in Michigan, was doing a briefing, she said we have no idea what the motivation was. And I don't know what the protocols are for releasing information on the motivation of a shooter, of a would-be terrorist, of a killer like that. Mm-hmm. But when a Muslim man drives a car into a Jewish synagogue with explosives, this is Captain Obvious, okay? This is, but notice oftentimes how the media and especially the media, they're hesitant to point out any motivation if it involves Islam. And I'm not, maybe that's my own observation, but they're not hesitant if there's a white person who's a white supremacist. Mm-hmm. By the way, the white supremacist Joe Biden said is the number 1 threat to our country.
He did several times,
and we're not hearing anything from them. They're not the white supremacists I'm talking about. They're just don't seem to be motivated or. What? Why are you laughing?
I was trying to keep a straight face for this, but
they're just not doing anything.
They're not.
And to be the number 1 threat to our country.
Right.
They are really, really just non-existent.
They're not exactly self-starters, are they?
No, they don't appear to be.
They're not ambitious.
You know why? We're saying these things in jest.
We're mocking the Biden statements.
Mocking the Biden because white supremacists are so few that they don't even act out on their what Biden and the rest a lot of the Democrats want to say is the threat, because they're just not existent. They don't have meetings out there.
Right.
They don't.
They're not renting the ballroom at the local Ramada.
No.
And
show me where this greatest threat to our country exists. I just think it's
they're not the greatest threat,
right?
And the facts that you're talking about, there aren't meetings, there aren't. public statements being issued
they don't
to
go
the media.
They don't go on TV shows, do
because
interviews.
It is such a ludicrous statement that Joe Biden made and the Democrats frequently make. Now, I will say this, that I think your initial point about protocol is probably correct, simply because they may not be able to say with certainty that that's the motive, but also because I'm sure the local district attorney or the prosecutors say, don't inflame public sentiment because we're going to have to get a jury from the local community, and we don't want the defense attorney saying, well, you got them all steamed because the guy's a Muslim. And that had nothing to do with it. We're calling for a mistrial. I think your first point is, I think this is protocol for these kinds of cases.
Yeah. I would just say, I would say something like, I think we all know what the motive was, but I'm not going to say it. That's what I would say. Instead of saying, we just don't know. We don't have a clue what the motive is when a brother of a Hezbollah commander drives his car. They didn't know that at the time, probably. But anyway, next story, Chris.
Well, it's stories like this that would make you think we need to fund agencies like the Department of Homeland Security. But Democrats, as we have discussed in the on this program for many weeks now, Democrats don't want to fund the Department of Homeland Security because they're concerned about ICE raids to find and deport illegal immigrants.
So they want to defund ICE.
Yes. And it's gotten to the point that basically we've had government shutdowns now over this particular situation. And a couple of Senate Democrats, Adam Schiff and Cory Booker, went on Sunday shows over the weekend to answer questions about their not wanting to fund DHS. And here's a bit of a montage of Schiff and Booker. Clip 3.
Is it responsible for Democrats to hold up DHS funding with the threat of terror attacks looming during this conflict?
We offered vote after vote, resolution after resolution, even as recently as this week, to reopen those agencies, to fund them, and the Republicans voted it down.
Isn't it time for Democrats to reopen and refund DHS?
So first of all, Democrats have tried multiple times to try to get TSA, CISA, the Coast Guard funded. Republicans have refused time and time again to fund. I will not approve another dollar for ICE, given all that they're doing.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know what was going on here. By the way, so the Department of Homeland Security, which was created after 9/11, they're a big organization. Okay, yes. So these TSA agents that are at airports, bless their hearts, they are having to work without pay. Now, they'll get back pay whenever this thing is resolved. Government employees always get back pay, but in the meantime,
you still got to pay bills.
Still got to pay bills. And I read where 300 of them had quit because of no pay. They're going on what, a month?
Yeah.
6 weeks without a paycheck? I see what's going on here, though. It's called leverage, too, political leverage. The Republicans want a vote on funding the whole Department of Homeland Security, which would include ICE and TSA and I don't know, other branches of the government that fall under Homeland Security. And the Democrats want to say we'll fund everything but ICE. So they want a bill that will fund everything through ICE. So who would you? What would you say there? That's
this is the way the game is played by both sides. Both sides do this. So you get Republicans on talk shows. They're going to say the same thing. They're going to say, "Well, we tried to get the Democrats to fund this, but they keep voting no." Both sides are saying, "Well, we're trying," but the other side, and in parentheses, what they really mean is, like Cory Booker is saying, well, we tried to get we tried to fund this. The Republicans said no, in parentheses, because the Republicans won't do exactly what we want them to do. And the Republicans say the same thing. So this is going to come down to who's going to blink first. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that's going to be. I tend to think the Democrats, because they get, generally speaking, protected by the mainstream media, they usually can last longer than the Republicans.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think the Democrats want any immigration law enforcement at all, or do you think they don't? In other words, would they just be fine with if ICE didn't exist at all and there's no organization to arrest, detain, and deport people who are here illegally committing crimes, or do you think they would just assume that that organization not exist?
I think both. I think what they want to do is replace ICE with an organization or with a different government agency, or so severely curtail what ICE can do that they become a shell of their former self. And the reason I say that is because no Democrat is going to, well, I say no, most Democrats are not going to say, yeah, open borders, we're not going to deport anyone no matter what. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, of course we want a secure border. Of course criminals need to go. It's just not going to happen with the current iteration of immigration and customs enforcement. We need to either swap that out with a new agency or restrict their activity. And until we do that, no money for ICE, and therefore no money for the government.
I would say the only time Democrats want things like ICE is when they have a Democrat in office. And I say that based on the fact that back in 2016, when Barack Obama was in the White House, CNN did a ride-along with members of ICE officers to do a story on their job, what it is they're tasked with. And CNN said things like this, quote, "It's part of President Barack Obama's initiative to focus on deporting convicted felons, threats to public safety, and anyone who crossed the border into the U.S. illegally."
What voice were you imitating there?
A CNN anchor. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying
is that a female?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how.
Could you raise
the voice
your
might
pitch of your
identify.
voice? Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
you're going to have to just deal with this abuse.
CNN was fine with it when it was Obama wanting to have raids on people.
On the other hand, that is 10 years ago. I think more Democrats now are in favor of a very porous border.
They don't want borders.
They don't want most of these people who are let in under Biden to go back home deported. But none of them, I don't think, are going to say, no, we want the criminals to stay.
That's true. You would think Democrats would be in favor of funding all kinds of agencies because many of the employees are union members. And the more money they get, the more union members they can hire. And then look at all the jobs we've created for union people.
I think you have a divide in our country, and this is almost along party lines. Most Republicans, the vast majority of Republicans, want law and order when it comes to our border. Most Democrats want as many people to come here as want to because borders are immoral. So to some of them, borders are what they would call immoral, and they shouldn't be borders at all. Some of them don't want borders because you have to have border control then, and they would view that as racist. They would say, but well, you're stopping people of color from coming to America, so that's racist. So that's the reason I oppose borders. So you have a divide, and used to in this country, probably I would say 30 years ago, even when Bill Clinton was president, Democrats were not crazy.
Right.
Crazy left, just anarchist, basically. They were sensible, they were liberal, but they were not wackadoodles, and that changed over the last probably, would you say 10 years? 10 to 15 years after Obama. Obama would be considered a moderate.
Yes. Yeah. He might not even get the nomination.
No, he wouldn't be left enough.
Right. I think it was 10 years ago. Trump, the first election of Donald Trump, his first administration, made the left lose its mind because the radical left, I would even say a lot of the Democratic Party of the more traditional note, but certainly the radical left of the party hate America. And so Trump, with his Make America Great Again and his America First agenda, just made them go insane. And then when it became obvious in the 2020 primaries for the Democrats that Joe Biden might not win, but Bernie Sanders might win the nomination, Democratic leaders, I think, went to the radical left that were getting young people out to vote, and they said, look, if you will get behind Joe Biden, we will open the door to your policies.
Yeah, yes.
And that was the way the radicals got into the Democratic Party, and now they represent the excitement, the
energy,
foot soldiers, the energy of the Democratic Party, and there's no reining that back in. And those are the folks who want open borders.
Next story, Chris.
All right. Expect to hear more from radical mayors in the coming weeks.
Okay.
And I say that based on the fact that Democratic mayors, people like Zohran Mamdani, the Mamdani-like mayor out in Seattle, LA's mayor, Chicago's mayor, they've all formed a coalition that they're saying is going to push radical ideas, things that we haven't done yet. And they're going to push free stuff and higher taxes for people to pay for free stuff, and they're going to oppose Trump. And in a segment on this today,
radical for them.
Well, because they're forming a coalition. They're forming a team.
I got you. Yeah, join together. They're going to join hands across America.
Right. So in a segment talking about this today on Fox and Friends First, Hannah Faulkner, who's a podcaster on the right, she was brought on to comment about all this. Clip 6.
It's really frightening, and I think this raises a broader question of when are we going to define what an American looks like? Is it just a piece of paper? Is it a citizenship? Or is it the values that one holds? And I think Charlie Kirk was warning a lot about this leading up to his assassination last September, and that ideas like Islam are diametrically opposed to Western civilization and what our country was founded upon. So if we really want to solve this crisis, just like the 5 radical mayors you just mentioned, we're going to have to get back to the heart of it. And what does it mean to be an American citizenship? Is it a citizenship? Is it a piece of paper? Or is it the values that one holds dear?
Now, I bring that up because we know governors fight the Trump administration on a lot of things, but now even mayors are forming a team, if you will.
The mayors are more left than the governors. The mayors you just listed out, that's an all-star.
That's an axis of evil right there.
Or an all-star progressive wackadoodle starting lineup there. You listen there.
I mean, the mayor of Seattle.
And starting at the first
starting
wackadoodle.
5.
The mayor of Seattle said they're not going to let grocery stores close. Like they're not going to let a business make a business decision.
Yeah. I don't know. The big cities have always been liberal, but these people they're electing now, wow, just I don't. They just the guy in Chicago, the guy in New York, the woman in Boston, the woman in Seattle, the woman in I'm sure. Now, when I say all this, I don't know. They may identify something else. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying woman.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they identify as. It could be but the woman in L.A.
Karen Bass.
Yeah, Karen Bass. So anyway, they've got they're destroying their own cities, but they don't realize it. I don't think.
I don't think they care. I think this is a hill worth dying
Social
on.
justice, baby.
That's right. You got to. You want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs.
That's the way they look at it.
I would say, to answer her question, now, who was this that you were?
Hannah Faulkner. She is a podcaster.
All right. I think the answer is all 3. I think Americans are citizens. When she says just a piece of paper, I think you have to have the proof of that citizenship, and then you need to have American values, because that's how a society stays cohesive.
Yeah,
and it stays together instead of fragmenting. I was looking up this morning. One of the things our founders warned about, I need to go back and read Federalist Paper number 10. The Federalist Papers, of course, were written by James Madison, John Jay, and I forget who the third one was. But they were defending the idea of a republic and the political philosophy of federalism. And I remember reading in college, so I have to go back. But Federalist Paper number 10 was about factions in a free society and in a republic. And the factions were the bane of all sorts of democratic experiments in the ancient world, and even in the late Middle Ages and on into the modern age. And you have to, in order to protect a republic, you have to have something that unites the people. And you can't have everyone doing their own thing, because then the experiment breaks into a million pieces and flies apart.
Yeah.
So
that used to be the Judeo-Christian value system.
Yeah.
It used to unite the country. Not that everybody was a practicing Christian or a practicing Jew, but the standard of morality and right and wrong was the Bible, and that was true up until rebellion came to our country against the Judeo-Christian value system. 70s, when inevitably when man begins to rebel against God, and that's what happened. I'm thinking broadly and generally, but that's what happened starting probably 60s, but in the 70s certainly. And you could go back, it started earlier than that, but that's basically when open rebellion against God began to be acceptable.
And Christian morality.
Right.
You had in the 50s, you had Hugh Hefner.
Right.
And
Alfred Kinsey.
Yeah, Alfred Kinsey. And so we don't.
Then the seminaries begin to get liberal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the law schools.
And the law schools. So that happened
earlier in the century.
That happened from 1950 to 2000 that brought us to the place we are today, where we have a culture war going on, raging. All right, we got about 2 minutes. What do you got left, Chris?
All right, I have some audio of the final out of the World Baseball Classic game between the U.S. and the Dominican Republic. For people that did not catch the game, the U.S. beat the Dominican Republic, and here is the final seconds. Clip 8.
Mason Miller's 8th pitch to Perdomo. Here it is, on to the championship!
I had to bring that in because I love baseball. The sound, by the way, is courtesy of Fox Sports 1, which I'm required to say. Now, what's interesting here is the U.S. is awaiting the winner of the other semifinal matchup between Venezuela and Italy tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. We know who Ed's
play
rooting
baseball?
for. Yeah, apparently.
I think they beat the U.S. I need to look that up. Go ahead, keep going.
Whoever wins between Venezuela and Italy tonight will play the U.S. tomorrow. World Baseball Classic. The greatest sport on earth. Baseball.
I knew the Italians made pizza. I didn't know they played baseball. Ed, did you know this?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was... no, I did not mean that like it sounded.
Yes, you did.
There was some guy named DiMaggio back in the day.
Italy defeated Team USA in a shocking 8-6 upset during the 2026 World Baseball Classic on March 10th.
Wow.
2026, ending the U.S.'s undefeated run in pool play. I would never root for Italy against the U.S.
Right. Well, that's interesting because the U.S., you would think would dominate baseball because just our sheer population that we have against these countries. But those little those smaller countries are
those little
their own.
Italians, they can surprise you.
The cool thing is the WBC allows somebody from that country to play for their home country. So you've got MLB stars playing for Italy or what have you.
Gotcha.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Where can you access instruction and inspiration from scholars, apologists, authors, preachers, and activists to deepen your Christian understanding? You could enroll in seminary, but a better way might be the AFA Cultural Institute. You'll find a collection of more than 50 informative inspirational video lectures with more to come. Visit stream.afa.net to experience the AFA Cultural Institute.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
For American Family News, I'm Chris Woodward. Weather is the top story for millions of Americans this morning. Fox meteorologist Adam Klutz has the update.
It's all one system reaching across all these regions we've been talking about. The leading edge is that severe weather now moving across the southeast and then still back behind it, pulling in all that cold air big snowy conditions, a blizzard from Des Moines getting up to Milwaukee. The UP seeing maybe 3 to 4 feet of snow in some isolated areas. Visibility is going to be absolutely next to nothing here as we watch that system continue to move out. Now, back on the warm side, these are all the storm reports we've seen over the last 24 hours. One tornado overnight, but a whole lot of wind damage, knocking down trees, hail, very strong winds. That'll continue to be a story as we watch this line move more off towards the east. Now, the severe threat, we rarely see it get this high, but that's a 4 out of 5 here, stretching from really the I-95 corridor, getting close to Columbia, all the way up through the Carolinas and Virginia, up close to Washington, D.C. And what are the big risks with these storms as we move into the afternoon and the evening hours? It is going to be tornadoes. Even if you don't see a tornado, you're going to see winds 60, 70, 75 miles an hour, and that's going to be enough to take down power lines. This is going to be a story we're going to be tracking very closely throughout the day.
The U.S. and Israel continue to strike Iran. Here's Fox's Trey Yingst.
U.S. and Israeli strikes continued to hammer the Iranian regime over the weekend. Significant airstrikes in the capital of Tehran. We've got some video showing black smoke rising overnight from the Iranian capital. It's not just Tehran that's getting hit, though. The entirety of western Iran coming under heavy CENTCOM and Israeli strikes as the Americans and the Israelis are looking to degrade the Iranian regime and their capability to respond. They've targeted the production facilities of these missiles that they are using, and they are no longer able to create more missiles, so the stockpile will continue to reduce in the days ahead. Still, all international attention remains on the Strait of Hormuz, and President Trump over the weekend calling on other countries to assist in policing this region.
CBS News is reporting that the Supreme Leader who was killed on the first day of the strikes never wanted his son to follow in his footsteps. Fox's Steve Harrigan has this story.
The report says the elder Khamenei was wary of his son ever taking power because he was perceived as not very bright and was viewed as unqualified to be leader, according to sources. President Trump speculated that perhaps the younger Ayatollah, the 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei, might not even be alive. President Trump telling NBC News, "I don't know if he's even alive. So far, nobody's been able to show him." The younger Ayatollah, of course, has not been seen in public since the start of the war.
We'll have more coverage on Iran next hour. You can also stay up to speed on our website, afn.net. The ex-wife of a Colorado funeral homeowner plans to ask for mercy today at her sentencing. Carrie Halford faces up to 20 years in prison for helping her ex-husband take over $130,000 from families for funeral services, including cremations, and often giving them urns full of concrete mix instead. Halford's attorneys describe her as a scared and desperate mother who was manipulated to help keep the family business operating. The Oklahoma Tax Commission opens up applications for private school tax credits. Fox's Jeff Manasso.
The Oklahoma Parental Choice Tax Credit Program, providing refundable income tax credits of $500 to $7,500 per student for private school tuition. The program also gives $1,000 credits for homeschooling expenses. It's designed for Oklahoma families to cover qualified educational costs. With higher tax credits for lower income households, parents must apply through the Oklahoma Tax Commission portal, and approved credits are paid directly to private schools via checks, with a $250 million cap on total credits for the 2026 tax year.
And Team USA faced off against the Dominican Republic in the first of two semifinal matchups in the World Baseball Classic last night. The U.S. led the Dominican Republic 2-1 with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth when San Diego Padres relief pitcher Mason Miller struck out Arizona Diamondbacks shortstop Geraldo Perdomo for the final out. The U.S. awaits the winner of the other semifinal matchup between Venezuela and Italy tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. The finals will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Find more news on afn.net.
Every day, AFA offers biblical insight on issues that others aren't willing to touch in the hopes that you'll become a world changer. That's why we're offering an in-depth worldview training course called Activate. 13 different professors teaching 18 sessions, all available online, including a printed workbook to help you apply what you've learned and 1-year access to AFA streaming content to give you even more resources. Find out more about Activate and sign up today at activate.afa.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim with Ed, and now Steve Paisley Jordahl joined us. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, everybody.
All right, Steve, have a good weekend.
It was a great weekend, yeah.
Did you sing in the choir yesterday?
I sang on the praise team yesterday. We didn't have
They
a
don't
choir
call it
member.
a choir anymore?
No, we have a choir. We just didn't sing
it's a praise
yesterday.
team.
It's a praise team.
So a choir, does your church choir still put on robes?
No.
Oh, robes.
No, we just dress appropriately.
Yeah, some churches do still use
Yeah.
the robes.
Yeah,
So.
just no bathing suits, no sandals, no shorts, that kind of stuff.
No bathing suits.
I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I mean, they don't, but no, we just wear nice clothes.
I'm not kidding. You can wear a
church appropriate
I don't know.
clothes.
You wear your bathing suits, you might get more people, to visit your church.
Last night, I went to a concert.
Well, who'd you go see?
Charles Billingsley.
I remember him.
Do you remember him? Still singing?
Never heard of him.
Oh, he's.
What kind of music does he sing?
He's Christian. He's the music pastor at Thomas Road Baptist Church.
Oh, he was real popular back. I met him before he come by here. I gave him a couple lessons, but I couldn't. I don't have time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't have time for that. Beyond what I just do that as a courtcy.
What was it? What did you say last week? There was a brand new career that you missed by the skin of your teeth. Some unfortunate thing. What was it? Usually it's the NBA. What was it last week?
I think it was NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Was it NASCAR?
That was NASCAR. Now we find out.
I had like
singing
one or
career.
two. I had one or two races. You can look it up on YouTube. And
you guys go do that.
I just thought, you know what?
After the show.
You know what? Tim is like our personal AI. You just can never tell
where I'm going to pop up.
Oh, we can tell.
Oh, we can tell.
Charles Billingsley, though, he was a very popular Christian contemporary singer back in the probably
for Jerry Falwell's church, right?
Well, no, he is choir leader,
Currently.
worship leader for Jerry Falwell's church, but he got his notoriety for being a solo artist. Like Steve Green.
Oh, I see.
Or who else? A lot of Michael Card. Some of these names.
Yeah.
Keith Green. People remember from yesteryear.
He's still around though. He's doing well.
Yeah, but he transitioned from being a traveling soloist to being the worship leader there at Thomas Road Baptist Church.
And still travels.
Still travels too. Yeah. Well, so you met him?
Yeah, I mean,
where was he singing?
It was at in Columbus. I want to say Pleasant Hill Baptist Church in Columbus.
Okay.
Columbus, Mississippi. For
Columbus,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Because we have a lot of listeners in Ohio.
Yes.
They're thinking, really?
Yeah, no,
Steve
missed
was
that
in
one.
our area.
Missed that one. No, he was a very good concert, very nice. I am singing a song this Easter that he had performed, and the demo tape that I've been using was him.
Oh,
I didn't know it until last night, but yeah.
Now, your church didn't hear him sing this song you're going to sing, right?
They didn't. Well, anybody that was there from my church.
Listen, you're a wonderful singer.
Thank you.
But I wouldn't want to be compared to the man who owned the song.
We have
And then
different.
you sing it.
This was a Ron Canoli song that I'm doing for Easter.
I love cannolis.
Yeah, don't you?
I listen. A good cannoli is one of the finest. Oh, you can talk about something different.
Yeah. All right, we better move on.
Tim has his shtick. I have my shtick.
Ed has his cannolis. You want a cannoli bar, Ed?
Cannoli
I'll get you
bar.
A cannoli bar.
Oh, Tim.
Brent, why do I do
please.
this? Why do I do this every day, Brent? I don't.
Go ahead, Steve.
All right.
Cannoli bar.
Cannoli bar.
Yeah, that's
So-
Andy Milky Ways. You got cannoli bars? How about a cannoli bar?
I
All
was
right.
thinking granola, canola,
I know.
in that family. Go ahead, Steve.
Arizona
Arizona.
is considering a new bill. It's called the Protect Girls Sports in Arizona Act, and it is to try to keep women's sports and spaces unique to women. And they had a hearing in their Senate, and there was a volleyball player from Utah State. Her name is Kylie Ray. She's 23 now. And she had been asked to play against San Jose State this last year. San Jose State had a man on the team. His name, he goes by Blair, and he's been playing in many of the schools in Mountain West Conference decided to boycott and not play against this guy. Now, there have been women who have been permanently injured after playing with male volleyball players. Spikes that come at their heads at 90 miles an hour. They just aren't ready to compete against. Anyway, One of the senators in Utah, her name is Catherine Miranda. She thought she'd maybe have a little, dunk a little bit. She kind of talked down to Kylie Rae, and I wanted to let you hear what that sounded like. Cut 9.
I've played against girls that look like you. You look very much in shape and strong. But it's a sports mentality when you're growing up and how much competition that you'll take on. To have a man on my team, I would have welcomed it, but this is just my opinion. So it just depends on the sports mentality of that individual. And that's why this bill is bad, because you're just putting a whole community of women's sports in one category, when women like me, we have a different opinion. So how competitive do you think you really are?
Madam Chair, Senator, as elite level athletes, I would say we're very competitive, which is why this bill designates 3 categories: male, female, and co-ed. The idea is that everyone can participate in sport. If you want to compete against your man, absolutely. Like, let's do that in the co-ed section. That's the clarity and distinction is really important, because when men are allowed access into women's sports and spaces, it's not women's sports and spaces anymore.
Good for her.
It was brilliant.
That woman tried to trap her.
You did. She did.
And it was snarky.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it though?
Trying to make it sound like this young lady is not competitive enough,
right,
to play against guys.
Not athlete enough to.
You need to man up.
Yeah, that
literally.
I don't like that. That's smarmy, snarky kind of attitude. Everyone knows what she was doing.
And notice how a lot of these people who are proponents of transgendered males being allowed. By that I mean they're males. They call themselves girls, but they're males. And the people who try to defend them playing girl sports, they're ambiguous. They don't really stick to. They don't want any lines drawn, which is ridiculous. One of the great attractions of sports is you have rules, and everybody knows what they are.
Kind of pointless without the rules, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, and one rule is we have girls and boys sports in America, and always have. And quite frankly, we have it around the world. Mm-hmm. And we have it in the Olympics. We've always had gender whatever you want, separation. So for someone like this woman, I now watched her, she's probably in her 50s.
She's 61.
She's 61. Well, I gave her a compliment, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
She's talking down to this young lady who's playing sports right now in college. And it's kind of a back in my day, if you'd put me against Wilt Chamberlain, I'd have been fine with that. That's what
you say it 61, right?
Yeah, let me take Michael Jordan. I can guard him. That kind of stuff, which is stupid. And by the way, I guarantee if this woman the roles were reversed and she was having to play against men who said they were women and go to the showers with them, and so you're having to shower and share spaces. That's part of the issue here. Not just the athletic competition, but the fact that these boys who call themselves girls, they get to hang out in the showers and the workout rooms and the buses and the hotel rooms when they travel. All this stuff. It's so ridiculous, and it's indefensible. And for this woman, that's the representative of the secular progressives in this country. They claim to be there for women, but they're actually opposed to women, and that was a good evidence of that.
Well, and I thought the idea of the bill was genius. You have women's sports, you have men's sports, you have co-ed.
Right.
So if you want to, you
sign up for co-ed.
You want to sign up, and you know you're going to be playing against both your gender and the opposite sex, then do it.
Yeah. All right, next story, Steve.
All right. This is a story about AI, and be careful what you use your devices for. Now, this particular story has something that it's not a nefarious or a bad use, but it is something that wasn't intended. At least the people who are using it didn't intend. Let me explain. Do you remember 6-7 years ago, there was a craze of a game. It was called Pokemon Go. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah.
So Pokemon is a game for...
Explain what that was.
Pokemon is a game where you have imaginary monsters that battle each other. And in Pokemon Go, they did something very interesting. This company, Niantic, decided to put these monsters out in the real world, virtual monsters. So when you go to their app, you open their app, you got a screen, it had your camera on it, and it would find a monster from this Pokemon game. It was virtually placed in the real world. So when you put your phone up and you look at the corner of Broadway in Maine, a monster would appear on your phone, and you could collect
Nobody
that
else
monster.
could see it.
No,
unless
it
they
wasn't
had the
real.
app on.
But if you had the app up, it knew kind of where you were because of geolocation.
These people would walk around with their phone trying to find
remember
it.
that.
Walk around with their phone for hours. In fact, they had 30. They collect. So what this company did is it has now formed a partnership with Coco Robotics, and it is going to be starting to do some food delivery. And it is using, what GPS is, Global Positioning System. This is using now something they've created called Virtual Positioning System. They have 30 billion images of the real world and various shots, the same location, different lights, different weather, night, day. So this becomes very, very accurate within inches. And they're using it now to use like GPS. So they're food delivery. So when you were doing the Pokemon Go, you were actually doing crowdsourcing data for Niantic. You were giving them the position that you were at, and they were able to.
They didn't know it.
You didn't know. Now, I don't know that anybody would have a problem them using your data so they can get your pizza to you more accurately, but it is a example of collecting data for one purpose. And it could be quietly repurposed years later for something completely different.
Well,
and you never know. And so, it might not always be kind of neutral, like a pizza delivery. It could be something maybe a little bit more
What are you
nefarious.
looking at me for when you say pizza delivery?
I am, because I think you'd be very interested in it.
Listen,
can I say one thing?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, I think we already have enough food delivery services. We got DoorDash. I was writing them down. Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Who else is out there?
I don't let people deliver food to me.
I don't
trust them.
I don't either, but I'm just saying that, it might ain't a matter of trust, but
There's me.
maybe it
I
should
go
be.
out and get food for my
But
wife
I'm
all
just
the time.
saying we don't need Pokemans delivering food. That's what you got your Pokemon food delivery service. You think that's going to go over? What do you have next?
Pokemon.
Spider-Man coming down the city streets delivering food?
Well, you don't
It
mind.
diminishes Pokemon is what I'm
You don't
saying.
mind Santa Claus coming down the chimney. What's wrong
Well,
with
that
And by the way, folks, when Tim says Pokemon, he's referring to slow food delivery.
Oh, is it
We all know
it's
it's
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
How do you spell it?
It's M-O-N at the end.
Is it my bad?
Pokemon.
Yeah.
I apologize for my mispronunciation.
Because nothing's worse than a pokey man delivering your food.
Well, that's true.
Delivering
I
coal
get your point, Ed.
to the jail, right?
You don't want to be pokey when you're delivering food out there.
Listen, check me if I'm right on this, Steve. This Go mapping that they're using, they say, is preferable to GPS because GPS is dependent on satellites.
Yep.
Whereas if you have this Go mapping, your location is dependent upon the
Existing
scenery,
buildings, right?
Yeah, the buildings,
the mountains. Yes.
Yeah.
And those, the satellites. I don't know. GPS is good within a couple 10 yards or so.
Yeah.
It's pretty good actually.
Yeah.
But this is within inches. They can pinpoint your location.
Tim's comments on these kinds of stories, I think, is probably the truth. They got it all in terms of information. I don't like it. They all, somebody, I don't know who, somebody's got our facial recognition. They've got everything. I've been reading stories about the Chinese collecting data through TikTok and stuff, where they can tell where your finger is positioned on your mouse, and they are. your voice, the sound of your voice, it's all out there. It's no longer just health records. It's all this kind of stuff with your phone, where you go, where you travel habitually. I mean, they have me figured out. It's work, church, and sometimes out by the mall area or to see my grandkids. Those are the four basic
steps
things.
you take, every move you make.
That's
I'll
right.
be watching you.
Yes.
Thing, man. And I used to feel like there's a little bit of, I mean, I talked myself into this because you're right. There's no getting around it. They have all the data. But I used to think, if they have the data on 30 million people, what are the chances that they're going to pick me? It's like winning the lottery or losing the lottery, right? But now, with AI, they can go after everybody.
Yeah. So how's that for a Monday morning?
Right, there you go.
They can go after you, folks. Doesn't matter.
I want to end. If we, I want to do a couple lighter stories, if we could. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
let me tell folks they're listening to Pokemon Radio right here on
Pokemon Radio. And for the real company, we're just
in a few minutes,
kidding.
we're going to do the hokey pokey. And we're going to turn ourselves around. You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Ed, and Steve. Steve, go right ahead.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, the pastor at Lake Point Church in Rockwell, Texas, his name is Josh Howerton, Pastor Josh. And he was doing a sermon, and he impressed upon his people the importance of marriage.
Okay.
And he said, if you're living with someone that you're not married to, if you're sleeping with someone that's not your spouse, or you've actually started a family and have kids with someone that's not your spouse, he said, and right now, this is his quote, you are coming under the loving conviction of the Holy Spirit. You need to honor God, then you need Jesus. Put a ring on it and enter into the covenant of marriage. Well, this last Sunday, 50 unmarried couples from his church answered that call. And they had a wedding ceremony for all 50 of these. And they got married. These couples that had already started the process of being a couple got married.
No, they were shacked up.
Right.
But
now they are
they
married.
got called out.
That's right.
And it worked.
It did.
Yeah, it worked. Good for him.
I love this. I have no idea. Do you know the size of the church?
30,000 members.
Oh,
Yeah.
30,000.
It's a multi-site megachurch.
Well,
30,000 members?
That's what they say.
Then 50 couples is probably a pretty small percentage, but still, those are 50 couples that did the right thing. I like the way he presented it. If you're coming under the loving conviction of the Holy Spirit, that kind of opens the door for people to be obedient. There's a place for hellfire and brimstone, don't get me wrong, but 50
When is
couples,
that, Ed? You were a pastor. When did you whip out the fire and brimstone?
I did on occasion. I let them have it.
Did you?
On occasion.
Not when you were up for a raise, though, right?
I don't think I ever got a raise. Seriously, I think I just got paid the same amount.
No,
you're joking, but
no inflation increase, no cost of living increase for you, huh?
yeah, no, but that's all right.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah,
you're called, so it's
that's
not
right.
It's not about the money.
And I didn't feel called to a bigger church.
Right, that's right.
I stayed at the same
You didn't
fairly
feel
small
called?
church for 18 and a half years.
Nor
That's
were
a
you
long-
actually called.
That's a long stay in
Yeah.
any church, so good for you.
So that backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, came back to me like karma. Like
All right.
polka karma.
I listened.
Polka karma.
Good for this pastor. He did the right thing.
I think so.
Right thing.
Yeah, and good for the people for
who responded.
Yeah, they responded. Although 50, did they all get married at the same time?
Yeah. It was a ceremony. All of them they all of them had the wedding.
They have a
crosses, 50.
reception?
They had a big one, I suppose. Now,
Yeah,
if you have
I think-
30,000 members, you probably have a fairly large,
Yeah.
fellowship
Probably had a barbecue
hall.
in Texas.
Barbecue.
Huh?
Could be.
Some brisket.
Listen, I'd get married just for the barbecue.
Okay, next story. We better move on.
All right.
What else you got?
I don't know the name of this teacher, but he's a teacher in Philadelphia who has started to post. He's reading letters that he gets from parents. Now, this tells you if you've seen kids like acting badly in public and you wanted to go up and slap the kid or somehow tell the parent to engage, please. This is why. I want you to hear this teacher in Philadelphia is talking. He's going to talk about 3 letters that he got from parents. Got 13.
Emails that I've gotten from parents. Part 1. Here we go. Up first. Hi. We noticed Mason has been bringing home homework. We're trying to protect his mental health and family time, so we don't really do homework in our house. Is there any way he can still get full credit without completing it? Thanks for understanding. Mason's mom. Next one. Good morning. Emma was late because it was raining and she doesn't like the rain. It really affects her mood. Please mark her present but not late. Blessings. Emma's dad. Next one. Hello. I received your message about Tyler talking during class. I just want to say Tyler does not talk at home unless spoken to, so I'm confident there's been a misunderstanding. Please investigate further. Concerned parent. Next one. Hi. I saw that Olivia has a 72. We were hoping for at least a 90. Is there anything we can do to adjust that? We feel like a B better reflects her potential. Let me know what paperwork I need to fill out. Olivia's mom.
All right, were these real students' names?
I'm sure.
Was that where was that?
Some school in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, PA?
PA.
Because that guy right there, he's not a native of Philadelphia. You know, that's why I asked the question. You know, he wasn't Rocky.
Wasn't
Rocky Balboa.
Yo, Olivia.
Yeah.
Here's what you could do.
That was the guy who transferred.
Study.
He's a transplant. Anyway, his point was that a lot of parents have gotten soft. Is that right? Or
those parents sound cray-cray.
Yeah.
Those parents sound crazy.
So she didn't want to get out in the rain? Rain?
Mark her present.
Yeah.
And not absent.
Now, your mom must have written a note like that or two.
No, if I got a note from school, I was a walking dead. If it was a negative.
Dead man walking, huh?
And I don't recall ever getting a positive note sent home.
Eddie's doing so well in school.
Edward, get down here. What's this note mean? Wait till your father gets home. No, Ma. No, Ma. No, please don't beat me.
She didn't beat you, did she?
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did? Okay.
I can remember when I was in high school, I stood a full foot taller than my mom. She was 5'1".
Yeah.
And she would say, with the mad look, you're not too old. I can still whip you. That kind of thing. And I was like, yes, Ma.
Exactly.
Wasn't my fault, Ma. Don't tell Dad, Ma.
Mine was the report card that came in from college when my first semester. I went to junior college and I went to senior college. When I was senior college, back before cell phones. Okay, so I had zero accountability for my time, and it was the first time away from home.
Oh man!
So I really studied poker. That was my main, and billiards or pool. So that was my poker was my major.
Yeah.
And pool was my minor. And then December came, and my dad got that ugly. You call it a report card. I don't know what you call it in college. Anyway, we had a come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah.
And I changed my ways.
There's
your
a lot
more
wicked
to
ways.
that story. But that sin was fun for a season.
Mm-hmm. And your dad preached hellfire and brimstone, didn't he?
It came home to me. Yeah, that fire and brimstone. That's right. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives